Right. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Welcome back to the second part of this particular so-called workshop. I would definitely encourage for specific workshops on interview. Yeah. How to go about doing that, how to do it professionally, and how to create your so-called fundamental proposal. I would always use for a proposal. And from the proposal, you work on your interview so-called design or interview means of data collecting technique. Now, for this particular portion, I've shared this particular part. If you look at this so-called this second example, the same thing happened. Interview question number 2, write down the interview questions, list down how many informants, if you want 5, maybe 5, or 6, maybe 6, maybe 8. List down all the things there, and then generate sort of main ideas there from column number 5, and generate the theme. Yeah, right. So your theme should not be too far away from the fact. Okay, do not over interpret the themes. Right. So tell the truth. Let the truth speak over there. All right. I'll move on to the next template. General idea, coding template. This is done already. All right. To interrupt this one. Is this big enough? Right.
Okay, much better.
Right. Now, I want you to refer to a particular information based on whatever they have shared with you in the WhatsApp group of the elements on trustworthiness. There's a diagram, small simplified diagram on trustworthiness. Ada tak? I shared yesterday, I believe. There's element on trustworthiness. Member check, triangulation, what else? Iterator. Not this one. I've shared in the WhatsApp group small captions on trustworthiness. Can you show it to me? It's like a step of a diagram. And it's just a simple information in a box. There's 2 or 3 columns. That's the one. Criterion, strategy, employed. Just share with you. That's the one. Okay, that is actually under trustworthiness. Right? So since you have all the elements there, how many strategies there? Right. Credibility, transferability, dependability, confirmability, 4 elements, right? It falls under trustworthiness. Okay? But you need not to do all. Okay? Perhaps you choose member check, and then the other one is triangulation. Not okay. The one that create and audit and trial and create. It's wrong spelling there. Trail. T-R-T-I-L. Right.
Now I know your connection. Now I know your connection.
It is spelling there. T-R-T-I-L. Not trial. It's like a cloth trial, no, it's called trail. T-R-T-I-L.
So every time you just put between
So where do you put iterator? In that particular ability, trustworthiness. Where do you put iterator? Iterator reliability. Member check. The member check is different. It's not member checking. Member check. Member check. It's not your member checking the thing. No. Yes, you go back to the informants, right? You go back to them. Ali, I have produced this particular list of things based on your whatever that you shared with me, right? So you must explain to Ali how you generate the thing. And Ali wants to get that consent of Ali. He said, I think I agree with you, but not team number 5. So why team number 5? The way when I shared with you, I mean it like this. So Ali is making the interaction, right? So that is what we call member check. Right? If it is your real member doing the checking of the same topic, that is what we call not iterator. Yeah, peer or there is another one. They call it coder. Intra-coder, intra-coder. It's not iterator. Iterator is different. What I'm trying to do now is actually to build an idea on iterator. Right. Iterator is a bit different. So this template is about iterator. Right. Iterator, somebody from outside who happen to be experts in your area. They know what you are doing, right? They can understand you, but they are given that particular chosen items. You need not to give everything, you know. You have to be selective. Let's say you only give the iterator 2 of them, the same materials, but ask them to say yes or no based on the theme that you have produced. So this is a good template. The easiest one actually. During my time is worse than this. During my time is like what? I have to give the iterator, the transcript, the chosen transcript, and I ask the iterator to generate the main theme. And then based on the responses, I would have to compare with my themes. So do you think how many so-called iterators agree to do that? They have to read the transcription. Time, right? To read the transcription, understand the context, and come up with their main theme, and then send all the themes that have been given, that have been produced, and I have to compare whether they are in agreement or in disagreement, and calculate the differences. So this is what you are heading, actually, the so-called iterator reliability calculation. They call it iterator reliability agreement. Why? Because I really want to know, or you really want to know, to what extent that the themes that you are produced are actually the proper ones, the acceptable ones. In other words, it's like checking that you are doing things accordingly. You are on the right track, right? It's not something like, I produced the theme because last night after a big quarrel with my spouse, you come up with a theme, there you go. And you think that your emotions seem to be high and you produce not the proper themes. So in other words, you need to be stable. You need to be representing the mind of the informant. So now, where do you get the verbal support if it is taken from template number 2? Which column? This one, verbal support, main idea, theme, right? For main ideas and theme, I think it's not an issue. But this one coming from column number 4, kan? Examples. You got the main idea here. Examples are taken from column number 4. So this is like moving from right to left, or you can do it the other way around, from left to right. Doesn't matter. Right? But in this manner, this person moved from right to left. Verbal support coming from whose informant, and then what are the main ideas they have shared, and what are the things that you have produced. And this person agree. I agree with all these 3. Right. So in other words, there is a possibility that you have to decide how many to be given to the so-called iterators. Okay. So, for instance, IRR, iterator reliability. So you can, let's say, interview question, maybe 3, 5, 6, and maybe 11. So you can choose 3 to 4 interview questions that you have produced the main ideas and theme, right? So you need not to produce everything. It's impossible for you to do that. So be selective. Maybe 4 interview questions with all the related themes, and then you have to share this with the examiners. Sorry, with the raters. Okay, I'll give another example. I think I've shared this with you. You can have a look at this. All right, this one being high. Is it high? Okay. This one being validated by. So this is actually from a university, The University of Auckland, Department Applied Language Studies and Linguistics. You see? Okay. Agree. But this one, there is a comment regarding this particular agreement, right? The person agree, but comment being given. I would argue that perhaps variety of exposure and technique might be more appropriate. In other words, the themes that you have generated, the person agreed, but the person suggested that variety of exposure and techniques. So there is a missing word, exposure and techniques might be more appropriate. Just a suggestion. But the most important thing, the person agree. You got it? So you have to do this in order to do the so-called iterator, because iterator is, to me, is one of the best because it involves experts. The experts agree or disagree with your generated themes. Now this is the calculation. How to make it big? This one.
Okay, lagi.
Ni?
Tekan dulu.
You're using your finger.
Kita kena.
Okay, there you go. Now, you can have 2, like the best. So now, let's say this one is the total number of themes that you have shared or that you have produced. 18. Maybe you have more, maybe you have 25. Right. So when you compare your themes and the first one, there seems to be no gaps, as if that everything is perfect. Right? The person agreed. Right. So they make it 100%. But for rated number 2, there seems to be 3 disagreed themes out of 18. So 15, divide that with 18, multiply by 100, you get 83.3%. So when you combine both 100 plus 83, you divide that into 2, you would get 91%. Anything above 80% would be considered as good. Good in terms of, in other words, you have produced appropriate themes. Yeah, 80% and above. There's no precise formula depending on certain school of thought. Some say 70% and above. But to me, anything considered to be 80 and above, right, would be considered as good enough. In other words, you have produced appropriate themes representing the ideas of the participants of the informant. So the average is 91.7%. That is what we call IRR, Iterator's Reliability Formula. Yes. You can use Cohen Kappa. There's a formula for that. This is also the new one. This is taught to me by my supervisor as well as by Miles and Haberman. Yeah, there's a book by Miles and Haberman, M-I-L-E-S, Miles, and H-U-B-E-R-M-A-N, Haberman. Yeah? All right. Agree? Okay, this is one technique. Yeah. The other one is member check. Don't write member checking is wrong. Member check. Member check. That is the term used. Right. Then the other one, triangulation kan. Itu susah sikit lah, triangulation. Triangulation is a bit messy because you tend to triangulate coming from. So use 2 will be adequate. Member check and iterator, that will be enough. Just to prove that, yeah. Yes, why not? Yes. Because they can think, they can reflect. Right?
If the data is derived from video and pictures,
Videos and pictures.
you still have the theme, right? So how
Yes, you can interpret the videos and the pictures into theme, yes.
So and the example part, how do you because there's a column for example, right?
Column.
Iterator.
Okay, this one is specific for text.
Okay.
So I think for video and what do you call film, picture, I don't have that so-called experiences, technically speaking, because it's when you see images like that, it's open to many interpretations. Yeah. It's open to wow, right? Unless you get experts giving their view coming out of that particular video. Yeah, they can give their view, how they define the same video being asked, but for 3 police officers, they would say different thing. They are expert, they are forensic, they are saying, they are interpreting it differently. There could be some overlapping. Yeah? Right. Yes. Unless you want to use that evidence to support your text, yes, why not? Yeah, the crime of the scene. The one in Ulu Selangor, right? The recent one. That one, very strong. Child abuse, let's say, so-called domestic violence, right? With all the scars and whatnot being captured to support the text, to support in the case in front of the judge. Other than the conversation is supported by evidences coming from videos and whatnot. Right? All right, now, any issue on this? Yes. Yes. Iterator, as I said before, they should be experts. You can't simply choose anybody. That's number 1, expert in that particular specialization. Number 2, you need to teach them. Tell them this is what you have done, you have produced this, and you want them to do this thing. Can you do so? Yes, I can do it. I think I've seen this before. I will do my rating now. But they will ask another one, they will ask, can you attach me the relevant transcription? You have how many interview questions? 4, right? So they would normally ask, can you share with me the text? Anything pertaining to the text for interview 3, 5, 6, and 11. They ask that. Then you have to provide the transcription. Why? Because they want to immerse themselves or contextualize their interpretation properly. Faham kan? So you want to make sense of certain thing, you must be in the proper context. Right?
Our supervisor cannot be literate.
It will be biased. Right. So you identify 2%, maybe one from the kuliah, another one maybe somebody from the ministry or somebody from other university. Preferably those who have been exposed to qualitative research. They can appreciate, oh, I know this. Okay. You know why? Because previously I had this experience. I give this kind of thing, the so-called iterator, to a person who happened to be in the field of engineering, mechanical engineering. It's a different way of thinking. You know, what's the IRR after I did the calculation between my rating and his rating? It's not even 60% of agreement, because the way of his thinking. So later on, I learned it from my supervisor. Identify somebody in the world of linguistics. There you go. When you identify the person in the world of linguistics, then you get a better scores. Right? There is another term used in that particular guide. They call it prolonged engagement, right? Ada tak? Prolonged engagement. Yes. Instead of 3 months in the field, you may want to extend it until 7 months. So in other words, you managed to get more data. They call it prolonged engagement. So normally these two are the most popular, iterator, and the other one is member check. Yeah. Dua cukup lah. Or even if you use one, is enough. Why? Because you want to check the rigorousness of your generated themes. Right? You are producing or generating the themes. You want to check the quality of the themes. Boleh? Cukup lah kan? Enough, right? Enough? 11:30. You're supposed to stop at 12:30, right? Maybe you want me to talk something else. How to create RQ, CRQ, blah, 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 blah. Proposal stage. You want it? Yeah.
Where you have to transcribe all your interview questions, answers that has to be. Like the transcription, there's a problem where if you ask some people, interview some people, they will just go with other words that is not English.
Fine. All right. So that's the meaning of, what is the meaning of verbatim? Whatever being said, being transcribed. Don't you ever translate, modify, or try to bring interpretation of that particular local expressions.
So it's going to be like speaking and then putting direct.
Verbatim. Verbatim means exactly whatever being said, whatever being recorded. Right? Whatever being captured, recorded, you must produce those things exactly in the text. That is verbatim, as is, they call it, as is. If you do the translation, if you do the adding, then it becomes something else. Right? That's the most important thing about verbatim. Let's say an interview with the locals happen to be coming from Kelantan. You know, it's a mix of Kelantanese dialect as well as English. Ya. I too bad sebab pintu tu kan, mu tak tahu apa kan. Everything must be said as exactly that. Too bad. Actually, too bad come from the word terbit. What is terbit? So, what is the behavior of terbit? Matahari terbit. Matahari keluar. Do you know? Are you aware of this? Oh, no. Now you know, right? That's the root of the word. For you to exit, for you to back keluar exit. But comes from the word sun rises. Right? Terbit. Terbit. That's the beauty of linguistics.
So many slang.
Belajar lah. Okay. Kata, I tak tahan lah dengan student tu. I puing dia. What is puing? What is puing? Puing. P-U-I-N-G. So I wrote the word puing. And puing becomes one of the themes.
Yes.
Catchy. It's a catchy thing. So the examiners ask, what is puing? Puing. This is interesting. Is it pukul? Is it what is puing in follow? Are you from Kelantan? Okay. What is puing?
Pui pukul tak? Pukul tapi dia lempang.
Never heard.
Mungkin lempang ke?
The jargon of that particular
That particular okay.
generation.
No, it's a dialect. It's a local dialect. It's not Creole, you know. You know Creole? There's a difference between Creole and dialect. So when you use Creole, in what context? When you want to do business. You know, one is chicken, the other one is duck. They can't communicate unless they create a language. And that language is a Creole, only for business purposes. Oh, yes. So imagine people in the past that travel to Malaysia, they need to communicate for them to buy certain things, right? They're using their language, I'm using my own language. How do I communicate? So they created a middle language. Yes, that's known as Creole. All right, C-R-E-O-L-E.
Pui, ronta-ronta.
Bukan that one. Bukan meronta-ronta. I puing dia. Takkan meronta-ronta dia. Something like a verb actually. Anyway, I think if you want to know, yes. If the interview in your language, for instance, right, you translate as is in your language. I shared with you before. I conducted my interview with 64 informants. Oh, banyaknya. 64, I'm not joking. 64, 32 girls, 32 boys. Can you imagine how long? Am I crazy? Probably. 64, 32, 64 interviews, different interviews. So how many of those interviews we use for my thesis? 16. 8 boys and 8 girls. So the remaining interviews still in my room in the form of the cassette. During my time, there is no this recording device. It's the cassette, you know, the small size cassettes. That's the one. And I must record side A only, not side B, because that's the policy. And during my time, when I did my transcription, it's based on the pausing of my recording device. I listen to one particular chunk of the sentence or half of a sentence, then I transcribe it. So one interview took me about 10 days to transcribe. 10 days. But now we have technology like AI, whereby you can play the voice and the AI will do the transcription. It may not be accurate, but you have to recheck everything. Are you aware of this? The AI technology, but not during my time. So it took me months, more than 6 months, just to do the so-called stupid transcription. Bruh. 6 months, right? Exactly. That's why the recording is always side A. If you do side B, if something happened with the tape, it destroys everything. Yes. Cassette. Worse. Right? So you are lucky, this generation. Exactly. They have that so-called machine. They call it a transcribing machine, whereby you use your foot to rewind forward. You know, but that was expensive at that time. Yeah, yeah. They have that device. This is just a device.
To ask about interview. For you want to pilot your interview question, like how many times do you pilot it?
All right, piloting. Piloting you can do to 2 or 3 informants, but not the one that can share the whole lot of the information. You can pilot it with your to some let's say a teacher, if the main idea is coming from key senior teachers, you may want to do with the items with the junior teacher, just to test the clarity of the question. So what's the purpose of piloting? Tell me. Why you pilot your instrument?
You ask the correct question.
Why?
Answering your object.
All right. Number one, you are right. You want to check the clarity of the interview question, whether the interview question is clear or not. So you need to get the feedback, you know. He would say, Ishmael, what are you asking? I don't understand your questions. Then you know that you need to adjust, right? That's number one. Number two, you would get information whether to delete or to add other questions. Or perhaps it can prompt more questions instead of asking this. If you're, for each research question, there should be between 4 to 5 interview questions. Roughly. For each research question, if that research question is pertaining to interview, right? Coming from interview data. Some research questions, they use 2 different types of data. Interview, the other one is observation. Especially non-participant observation. There are various type of observation. One is participant, the other one is non-participant. Okay, so that's the purpose of conducting interview, doing the pilot. The pilot would also help you to identify other dimensions of the research question. Then you realize that, oh my God, instead of asking this research question, I should have added another sub question for that research question. Are you aware of not? For one research question, if there is a need for you to add sub question, you can do that. But you need to justify why you need to add that sub questions. You aware of not of that? Let's say RQ2, and then underneath RQ2, you have 2.1 and 2.2. Boleh. Right? But you must justify why you need to add those 2 sub-questions for that research question. Okay. Now, this one is an example of a notational convention, right? So that's the symbols being used. All right. So I think one of you asked this question: why I use this particular 2 parallel lines, right? 2 symbols. This one. what do you call this? This symbol. Stroke, this so-called like this. Then something is in between there. Something is. So anything that when I use these two symbols, it means that in the interview, let's say an interview with a particular grandfather or grandfather, when I say certain thing, the person say the same thing at the same time. You understand? They call it simultaneous utterances made by the decision and the informants at the same time. Right? You are saying the same thing with the participants or informants at the same time. So using that symbol. Okay? That's the meaning of it. But do not use mine because I use a lot of thinking time, because I did something on metacognitive. Times taken for the person to respond to that interview question, to that particular comprehension items. Yes. There is no precise universal symbol. It is your creation, but you need to defend yourself. You need to tell what's the meaning of you using that symbol. Yes, sometimes I use the word instead of Sijil Pelajaran Malaysia, I use the word SPM. I just say it out SPM. SPM means blah blah blah. It means the national examination and so on. Yeah, you can. In other words, you must put the legend. This is a legend, and define the legend. What does it mean?
But how about expression? Like, are you need to put that in?
All right, you can use now you can use the emoji, right?
Oh,
Yeah, you can insert the emoji, but you have to do the meaning of the emoji. I mean the crying. But then there are certain skills when it comes to interview. How do you handle the informants who suddenly don't want to proceed anymore? How do you handle that? How do you handle, somebody who's like what you just said, crying? So handle it. So that's why you need to have the skills. That's why you need to know how to conduct interview. Okay. In my previous workshops, I would allow 2 students to demonstrate how to conduct a proper interview. Right? So is this thing connected to internet?
Yes.
So how do I escape myself from if I want to share?
oh, sorry. If unemergent, unemergent thing to prop, how do you put that down?
Again?
Emerging things, sorry. That things that come up, that comes up from the interview question, things that are new.
Themes that you have produced is known as themes that emerge coming from the data.
And then things that just came up, like all the participants talking about that, but the interview question didn't address that. Macam new things yang
Or new ideas.
macam tu.
All right. Okay. So now when you discuss your findings, your themes, you discuss that within the chosen theories, right? Let's say you have decided that based with your supervisory committee, you will be only using 2 theories, or maybe in my case, 3 theories, A, B, and C. Out of those 3 theories, there seems to be 4 new ideas, you call it themes, which are not there. The theories doesn't explain about that. Those 4 things are known as new ideas, new themes, yeah. And you can name those 4 new themes into a model, create a model. But you have to connect how these 4 new ideas or 4 new themes being named as something. You have to give a name and why they are seen new, right? They call it blinking ideas, new ideas. Okay, let me discuss with you just about what I want to talk about.
You want to search something?
To search something on interview or video, Okay, video. Just that way. Here,
Yes.
ini ping lah.
You want Google, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Video
Yes.
interview, qualitative. I think I share dekat ni kan.
So,
This one.
okay, don't make sure to open this one.
This.
Okay, sorry. Now you're okay. I want you to pass this video back. Okay, now press this. Then I want you to cancel this first.
Yes, sir.
Press and then stop sharing. And then press it again. Okay. Since you're in the same tab, go to let's go
Ni lah.
this one. Okay, and then share. Okay. And then go back to the. Okay, they should be able to see.
About semi-structured, in-depth interviewing.
Right.
It is a method that is very, very commonly used in action research. You can write.
So I hope you can watch this because this is a good guide how to conduct a proper interview. So this is what we call an open interview, a semi-structured interview, but being done in a natural way, right? It's a natural conversation. So this is a good, it's just not that long, 13
A whole
minutes.
book about interviewing, but in this video lecture I intend to just give you some insights in interviewing, and I also will be giving you an example of an interview that I did with someone from the slum. So
This is
let's
in
have a look.
Uganda, in Kampala.
So I will be seeing Juliet, and she will play the role of Justine. So the story is not real. It would otherwise get a little too personal. I asked Juliet to not prepare the interview, but to answer as if she is someone from the slum. You are going to see just a part of the whole interview where I will give you some written instructions. Nice place.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for letting me ask you some questions.
No problem.
Like I said the other day, I invited you because I'm very curious about your opinion about your daily life and the challenges that you're facing every day and how you deal with those challenges. And I hope in the end that I will understand better what is going on in your daily lives, what you're struggling with, how you deal with it, and also how you see possible solutions for the challenges that you're facing. And that's why I'm sitting here with you to ask you some questions. And would half an hour would that do okay for you? Would that be right?
That's all right, depending on the questions you're asking.
Yes, it's sometimes it takes only like half an hour, but it can take up even to 2 hours. It depends on what you would like to share with me and how in depth we're going into the matter. So you can just tell me anything what refers to your opinion, and there's never a wrong answer in it. And also, everything will be confidential, which means that everything you tell me will stay between me and you. So I will be making some notes, and if you're okay with it, I will capture it on a voice recorder, but it's only for me to remember.
Right. Now, there seems to be a little bit of misunderstanding among students when it comes to that particular term. Have you heard the term interview protocol? Yeah? Right. So interview protocol is not the same as interview transcription. These are two different ideas. So what is interview protocol? Tell me. Yes, it involves interview questions. No. Interview protocol means, you know the protocol if you want to meet the Agong, the Sultan, it's the adab. So you will always ask for permissions, right? So the same permission being repeated for the 16 informants. Same thing being repeated. In my case, 64 times I repeated the same thing. I asked the same interview question. I do the muqaddimah nicely. I asked the interview questions, right? And then I closed it nicely. And I said, thank you, blah, 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 blah. That is protocol. So it just happened that the interview questions happened to be in the interview protocol. But the problem is that the student used the word interview protocol, and I keep on searching. Where's the protocol? I can't see even the protocol in the appendix, not even the appendix. I'm looking for the steps. Yeah. Don't be confused. Interview questions and interview protocols are two different things. Right. What should you know? Oh yeah, there is another one. This one. Okay. Not this one. This one is different. This one, the concept. Right. I think I shared this with you, right? You can have a look at that particular folder. This is just a simple guide where you want to create your so-called proposal. Right?
Yang mana? Ini kan? This one is
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay, that's the one. So this is a simple guide. So your supervisor would tell you what to do, but I'm sharing with you. Basically, you know, if you want to produce a proposal, you must have a kind of a guide. What actually do you want to do for your thesis or your director research and whatnot? This is a simple guide. It's an easy, simple guide. If it involves central question, I call it CRQ, central research question. That's why I call it CQ. You can refer to my books. I have a book that you can refer to in terms of how to generate this. And then you can create your research questions. Some school of thought say instead of saying research question, they say sub questions. Fine, it doesn't matter as long as these are all the research questions. And what are the potential interview questions if you are doing interviews, right? So it could be something else. Maybe it's an observation. If it's observation to respond to this thing, what would be the observation tools? Is it participatory observation or non-participatory observation or non-participant observation? Which one? Can let's say it's about journal writing. Then what would be the tools for the journal writing? What would be the items for the journal writing? What are the expected things if you want to call it as a journal writing? Can, all right? So these are just examples. So in other words, you will need to have enough interview questions that can produce or get information to respond to that particular research question. And hoping that all these interview questions or research questions would be able to answer that so-called central questions. So in writing your central questions, there are 3 elements. Can you name them? Central question or central research question. I call it CRQ. If you refer to Creswell, it's known as CQ, central question, but the same thing. But there are 3 elements. What are those 3? Number 1, the issue or / phenomenon. Apa isu dia? Central question. Number 2, from whose perspective? Who can actually talk about it? Who are these people? Number 3, research site,
Research.
SITE, right? Research site, where? But then have a look at this. Is it adequate? Look at this one. Can you enlarge that?
Which one?
Yang CRQ to what other perception other than what? Enlarge that up. All right. Tell me, is the research site being mentioned? No, that is not. This is a site.
It's not mentioned here.
SITE, site, place.
The file. Not
Ah.
mentioned.
Or location here.
Location. SITE,
Yes.
not SIDE. So now tell me, what's the phenomenon? What's the issue? What's the issue then? All right. From whose perspective?
Teachers.
English teachers. But what is lacking? Where? Right. So now, if you mention the research site, try not to be too specific on naming the agency. Why? Confidentiality. So you can say, let's say, I can give some other example. What is love for 3 teenagers? For 3 teenagers in a private secondary schools in Klang Valley. Did I mention the name of the school?
Mhm.
But is the location mentioned? In Klang Valley. Klang Valley is big. Right? Klang Valley is like KL, all from here all the way until Port Klang. Thousands of schools. Did I mention the name of the school?
No.
No. Did I mention the issue?
Yes.
The issue is love. So is it love?
Yes.
Yeah. What is love, right?
No.
Or you can read, what is cinta monyet? If you want to go. Monkey love for 3 teenagers. Okay. Or you can be more specific, for 3 girls. Or what is vaping for 3 high school girls in a private schools in Klang Valley? Or if you want to protect the private school, just one of the secondary schools in Klang Valley. Right? You know vaping? Let's say it's a new thing, growing concerns of the community, whereby girls are also engaged in vaping. And you know that vaping has caused a lot of problem with the lung. Serious cases, death cases and whatnot. Kan?
Yes.
Right?
Horrible.
Okay. What is Android handphone to growing concerns of parents who are actually using handphone as a bargaining, I don't know, kind of, because the kids tend to be a little bit hyper using the handphone, hoping that the kid will give attention to a particular game and whatnot. Actually, it's not good, right, for some
Yes.
reason. But you want to investigate why parents are doing that. Okay. So remember, in CRQ, sometimes the word is what. The question is what. So remember, in English, the letter, the term, the word what is so strong. Okay. Tak faham kan? Faham tak? If I say, what is love to you?
Yes.
What is love to you? How you define love?
Yes.
You see, I met this old lady in England. The very first day I arrived in England, I went to a grocery store right about 10 minutes from my rented apartment. An old lady in a grocery store selling all these green things. vegetables and whatnot. And she welcomed me with these expressions. Hi, Loof. Hi, love. So how would you feel? Because that is not the expression that I'm familiar with in Malaysia. Kan? Pergi pergi kedai orang kata, hi sayang. And then, how would you feel? Right? Hi sayang. Hati berbunga-bunga, right? You have that kind of, oh my God, it's like a shock. So it happens to me. That's what we call cultural shock, how they define love. What do they mean by that expression? The simple question, what? But it explains everything. How, why, blah, 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 blah. That's the power of language. Okay? What is cigarette to you? For instance, tobacco. It's secret. That's the power of language. All right?
So many meanings.
Yeah. That's what we call central questions. It's like an umbrella, You want to go deeper to this particular issue, read my book, buy my book. Go to the library, I think there are 4 books. Doing qualitative research for beginners from theory to practice. Right? Yeah, I only got 1. This is my only version. I got 4, but 3 still missing. Yeah, 3 of the books still MIA. You know MIA? Yeah. Right? This is your CQ or CRQ or CQ. That would be your RQ. RQ. Okay, RQ1, maybe RQ2, RQ3. Okay, RQ4, maybe RQ4. You got the message? So that book contains all the skills, most of the skills. What I'm trying to develop now is that based on the given template, 7 templates or so, I'm trying to insert another template based on the themes that you have produced, how you connect those themes with Islamic resources. There's themes on fear, right? You can link fear with hadith about fear, the verses about fear, right? That is what I'm trying to do. In other words, it will be an easy kind of thing you have produced, so that you can talk from the Islamic paradigm, Islamic perspective. Okay, what is respect to, what is based on the theme you link or be connected to the Islamic resources. And senang macam tu. So how hadith talking about this, or what are the implications, right? Is these things seen as new dimension? How you connect that with the policy, okay, educational policy. Right, it's 12 already. I think that will be enough. If you want to have a specific sessions on interview, don't mind. I can, teach you how to go about doing that. All the skills in conducting interview, right? How to stop, how to pause, how to blah, blah, blah. Skills based. All right. You think it's easy to conduct an interview? It's not easy. Right? Don't forget to buy the gadget, the recorder, Do not rely on your handphone. Always use at least 2 devices, not only one. If something happened to your handphone, you still have the other one. Right? That recorder, it can be Sony, it can be Philips and whatnot. It's not that expensive. About 150 ringgit, maybe less. And know how to use the device. Right? Right. I used to train ministry officers how to conduct qualitative research for their so-called national report, national report. I trained them. In one of the cases, this particular officer went to a particular place far away from here, like a 2-hour flight with all the gear, with all the equipments, and he had to travel by boat and then walk through the jungle, walk through the forest for half a day until he arrived at that particular school. It's a remote school. Then he conducted the interview with the device. All right. So what happened is that he had forgotten to switch off or turn off the VOR. What is VOR? Now, if you are familiar with the recording device, that device will only work. Let's say you turn it on, right? You turn it on, but you've forgotten to turn off the VOR. Always turn off the VOR. Why? Because if you turn it on, what happened? What will happen when you turn it on? The device is still moving, but not recording because of the low volume of the interview. The noise is so low that the device somehow being seen as recording, but actually not recording anything. Are you aware of this? You tak aware kan? Turn it off. In other words, when you turn it off, it will capture everything. When you turn it on, it will only record when the voice is loud, when the voice is clear. Only then it records everything. Then somehow you've been fooled by the device. You know what happened after that? He did not check the recording device after the 2-hour interview. He went back to that particular town and took a flight back to Kuala Lumpur. And then we met in that particular hotel. So, can I listen to the interview? Oh, yes, sir, Dr. Wilcox. And he played it back, but there is only hissing sound. Why? Because he had forgotten to turn off. Now, tell me about the cost. Tell me about the cost. Air flight, petroleum for the boat for 2 hours, walking in the forest, with all the gadget, with all the gear, and then back, thousands of ringgit, but no information. And that so-called principals of that school happened to be one of the key data, one of the key groups of data. Cost, right? Because failing to follow one simple procedure. At the very least, right after the interview, he can always play it back just to be certain that the voice being recorded or the voice has been recorded, but there's none. Kan, kalau dia semak tu, there will be another interview immediately after that, but he didn't do that. So costly, right? Costly. So I said, well, never mind, go back to the school with another budget. Another Air Asia flight. Before this, Malaysia Airlines, but now Air Asia. Another boat trip, another hiking through the forest leading to the remote school. Yeah. Tough, right? Because the naming of the school did not come from my group, comes from the big boss. I want the school. So make sure you know what's going on when you use this device, VOR. Right, that's it. So we meet again, inshallah, some other times. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. If you have questions, matters that you would like to know further, or for the sake of clarifying certain things, please text me, send me a message. So I don't mind responding to your queries, your concerns. Thank you so much. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Before we dismiss, can we take a short photo first?
Oh yeah, by all means, group photo, why not? Look for. So what happened to all these so-called nasi lemak? It's going to be there.
She take her to the